And good afternoon. Sorry, good morning. What time is it? It is now 10:10 a.m. And this is Uncle Dr. Ernie here with more experiences doing awesome stuff badly. As you may remember, last time we left off having just successfully gotten a SVG rectangle drawn using reactive-coffee, the toolkit we're using to build Rohan's teenage robot turtles. So now we're going to do the animation that we started on last time. Let's get started. So as you may remember, we had just added our little animate transform line here, and I was going to go back to the demo page that we were using, this wonderful tutorial that someone has created for us on the internet, and copy in those parameters into that transform. So we make a dictionary using the curly braces, and then let's tie it up with that. No, it doesn't really do anything. Okay, so let's go ahead and add those class names and convert between the HTML style dictionary to the CoffeeScript style dictionary, which I guess is basically JSON, except you don't need to quote the strings. Okay, the indentation is a little funky, but it should work. And let's run. Woohoo! We have an animating rectangle, awesome! All right, let's update our fiddle with that as the tool that we're using. And now that we know how all this works, let's share the thing that we've got working properly. And we had to tweak just really minor changes, but it's worth documenting it and sharing it with other people. So I'm going to take this gist, which is a little pasty or a small code snippet that's shared on GitHub, and I'm going to create my own version of it to capture all the things that I've learned that we need to do. So what we do is we fork it, and forking is one of the really powerful tools of working with open source. You take something someone else does and you tweak it a little bit. So it's different than just inheriting it, because inheriting it means you still work within their context. But when you fork something, you're actually making a copy that you can change yourself and making it your own. So this is the Dr. Ernie version of RxV. And what I'm going to do is go into edit mode here, and I'm going to grab the fiddle here, and let me go ahead and set this as base, since that's where we're working from here. And I will, let's see, where's my gist? Yeah, right here. I will say, why am I not able to edit anything here? Blah, 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 blah. There we go. Okay, it's here, and then let me go, not there, but here. And I will grab everything here, and let's go and style it. Actually, I should see what he called it, since I'll just use the thing, and I will fork and tweak it a little bit to reflect kind of what. Even though people can see that up here at the top, it's always good to make sure you give everyone proper credit. So, and then let's go through and document this a bit to make sure that I understand what's going on here. So this is the preamble here. And these look like some kind of overrides. Let's RxV is the thing we're designing, and these are the events. And this is just some boilerplate initialization. And this, I should call these out here. So this seems to be all dealing with events. Here. I don't understand this code well enough to actually rewrite it myself from scratch, but I do understand it well enough to understand kind of what's going on. We're setting the events and the properties, and then we're creating the tags that we actually use. And the indentation seems to be changing here, which is a little weird. Can we... spaces, 2 spaces. That's crazy. Tabs are the spawn of the devil in white space sensitive languages. Can't believe the editor defaults to that. Okay, so anyway, where were we? Tags. This is the error. I kept getting unknown element type in array. Myself a little to do there in case there's a better way to do that. And this is the obs array here. Okay, and then this is all a list of tags. Right, so the user gets access to these things by doing RxV import tags, and here's where we're going to go back to our friend SVG animation tutorial, and let's see if we can get a list of SVG elements. Well, there's a lot of them there. I do not have the patience to enter all those, so I'm just going to go with the list here on this page, because these are presumably the most common ones, and that gives me is there a better CoffeeScript list syntax? There's a lot of Rubyisms there, but probably not. Okay, so just go with that. And close this. Ignore this. Okay. FCG, G, rect, circle, ellipse, line. 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 Polygon. Ellipse, line, polyline, polygon, path, marker, text. I don't even know what these things are here. What are they? No. Let's just go with the authority we've chosen. Tspan, tref, text path. Switch image a def. Switch image a defs. What is that? Switch element, draw text inside an image. So different shapes to language the user. Oh, that's very cool. I did not know SVG was localizable. And then A is presumably just an anchor tag. Yes. And then defs. What is the defs? Ah, yes, this is what we're going to do for our defs, so we can define some turtles and draw them in different ways. Defs symbol use. You notice I'm just sort of skimming over these things, even though I don't actually understand what they are. That's okay at this stage. The goal is to get an overview, so I have some idea of what's going on, and then I can actually go through and figure out how to make it really work when I get into the serious programming. Animation transformations. That's just a parameter. Gradients are just another, no, there is a stop. Linear gradient and stop. Let's just throw it in there since we're what other kinds of gradients are there? Radial gradient. And I'm doing this now because this is my time when I'm kind of skimming through the SVG world to figure out what things to use. Well, there is always certainly going to be more things I'll need. Having a few of these now while I'm in this mindset means that next time I can just look at, just move the stop up there because it's getting confusing. Even just knowing the different nouns that exist in a space is useful, even if I'm not entirely sure what they mean. I can pretty much guess what most of these mean, and that it gives me a sense of what's possible. I didn't even know that you could do patterns and localization and things like that inside of SVG. And this also makes it closer to a real implementation that the maintainer of reactive-coffee might want to use. So filters. Ooh, those are cool blurs. And that's all 37 items there. Not comprehensive, not exhaustive, certainly not well understood or well documented, but hey, it's awesome, and we're doing it awesomely and badly. Ooh, filters. Those are some interesting things here. What are those FE? There's a whole bunch of those. Yeah, those are interesting. It's just the filter effects. Boy, there's a lot of those. I will go with our initial plan, which is just list the ones that show up here. taste of what's possible without having to dig too deep there and waste all my time, since I've only got 30-minute session. That's one of the ways we stay organized and stay focused, is that even if I get vastly off track, it only occurs for a little bit. You know, those tabs are driving me crazy, and I have wasted more time than I care to think about doing this. So I'm going to bring this, I can't seem to find a way to clear this up in here, so I'm going to pull up my old trusty rusty friend TextMate, and what was the right command for this? CoffeeScript, and that's here to automatically from here. This is actually kind of a nice way to look at it and make sure it's all nicely color coded. This is what it'll look like when I'm really coding with it, and most people who use desktop editors or even online editors have nice syntax coloring for CoffeeScript. I should actually see whether that just knows that it's CoffeeScript or not. Just and I'm writing comments here so that I remember what was going on. Tags. This is the function that makes the tag. Cite my sources. I'm not sure which parts will be in the standard system and which parts will be in the integration. That's the challenge that the maintainer will have to do. So I'll grab this, take the gist. Oh, that's the problem. Edit, language, CoffeeScript. There we go, much better. Now it's nicely covered, and still, what is with you in the tabs, my friend? Arg, let's. Tab, replace it with 2 real spaces. And now I'm going to copy that in here. this may seem a lot of unnecessary fuss about tabs, but you will not complain if you knew how much time I had wasted in Python, where they use whitespace and tabs as significant, but tabs are not an error, which means that if I have 2 space tabs and you have 8 space, as opposed to 8 space tabs, the code can look perfectly correct, but be completely unintelligible to the compiler. Tabs are the spawn of the devil. I believe I've said that before. Okay. When I write a language, the system will core dump if you try to include a tab in a source file. A tab is a convenience. It's like the shift lock, the shift or caps lock. It is not a character that should appear in any real code. Enough about that. Okay, so I've created my gist here, and I'm going to go to the issue here and copy that. Okay. And this is the code. Grab the URL. So another way I could do this rather than just pasting this in the bug is to actually fork the reactive-coffee project. That's a very normal thing to do on GitHub. Make my changes there and then submit a formal pull request, which is something I may still do later, but it takes more time than I have right now. So I'll start with this and ask him if that's what he wants me to do. Yang, the guy who wrote reactive-coffee. And just double check the link there, make sure that goes to the gist that I was talking about. And no, it doesn't. So I should be using that URL. Clear that out. Clear that out. Oops, where would I go? Did I just delete the thing I was working on? Yes, I did. Okay, let's coffee there. I do this occasionally. Oh, there we go. Since we don't really need this fiddle here, we can go with that. Okay. And use this URL. Okay, yay, we have successfully created a gist and updated an issue. This is the way the open source projects track information, by creating issues, and then you can use that to communicate, to track work that needs to be done, or to submit features, either the request for it or the implementation of it. So this is kind of how the open source world works, is through gists and GitHub and issues and things like that. So the next thing we're going to do, which we probably won't get to this session, but we'll start with on next session, is implementing draggable. So if we go back to reactive-coffee issues, you'll see something that I raised an issue around last time, which is now closed, which is jQuery UI sortable, which I thought was going to be a hard thing because it was hard in Meteor, but turned out to be a really trivial 3-line fiddle but he still won a very nice bounty on bountysource.com for implementing it. You can see here's this nice little sortable thing. And what I want to do that next is jQuery draggable. So one of the goals of the Robot Turtles game is a way to build maps, as well as to create the controls for the turtles. And so you need to be able to drag the elements around, drag them from the pool of instructions into the actual strategies, and also create maps by dragging from the widget pop-up or whatever it is into the SVG map. So what we'll do next time is figure out how to implement jQuery draggable on top of reactive-coffee. Could be a 3-line trivial option, could be a whole session. It could take me 3 days to figure out. I don't know yet because I'm doing awesome stuff badly, and I hope you'll join me so you can too. Goodbye.